Hey guys, welcome to the Traditional Bow Hunting Wilderness Podcast. This is Jason Samkovic, and we are here at my house, and we're going to talk a little bit about setting up some things for winter camping. If you're going to use your camper, your RV, your fifth wheel, whatever it is, and you're going to use it in winter, there are going to be some important factors that you take into consideration. So we have ours right here. Now, the thing for us is we use ours in the winter, but we use it down south. So we take this, we're going to take this down to Georgia and leave it down there, and then we'll make a few trips to it each year down there. So for us, it's a little different, but we have spent I don't know, I want to say probably it's about 3 weeks total. We have done boondocking off grid, and as well as in campgrounds in the wintertime. And there are some definite things that you're going to need to take into consideration if you plan on using it in colder temperatures. So we're going to break those down and cover them for you. Now, also, I want to dispel this myth for you right off the bat, but see, ours is a Forest River Cherokee. It is a 27 RKL model limited series, but we also have what we call it is the Arctic Wolf Alpha Wolf brand, and it is the Extreme Weather Arctic package. That means a lot of things in here that's kind of nice. We have thicker insulation inside of it. The walls are thicker. The main parts here are actually, there's more insulation in the actual walls, like in here. This has got more insulation throughout the walls of it. We have more insulation and full undercoating under here. You can see all that corrugated under there. That's all heavily insulated under there and closed off underneath the whole bottom. All of this stuff is done to make this camper more RV or more winter capable. Okay, that's the advantage to it. And everything is better insulated in the way they run a heater vents in there. There's a lot of pros and cons to that, or pros, I shouldn't say any cons, but keep this in mind. It does not mean that you can just take this camper and set this thing up and that you're going to be fine to just go ahead and run this right in the middle of, in temperatures like you're seeing out here right now, where it's 21 degrees during the day and getting down into the teens and even closer to 0 at night. That Arctic Edition is not going to protect you enough. You are not going to be okay. Now, some things to think about you will need. I will be showing you some insets in here too. But one of the biggest problems you're going to face is going to be wind. See all this open side right here and all this underneath here? All of your plumbing and everything is running up underneath of this. What's going to happen is that cold air is going to be moving through this all the time, blowing underneath this thing. As that cold air travels under there, it is going to freeze all of the stuff that is underneath your RV. So what you want to do is you need to run something around this to block that wind off. Okay, now if you're in snow like we are here, and you have this kind of condition, good new snow that just fell, you could very easily take and shovel snow and mound snow all around this to help protect that and create a wall there. If not, they sell, and I'm insetting a picture somewhere in here, a skirting kit that you can buy where you just mount some snaps on here or Velcro, and it's a skirting that goes all the way around this whole thing, and it will actually close that off. Keep that wind from going under there and making everything cold and freezing for you. You can, in a pinch, also just go to the store and buy yourself some tarps, and then on the underside of this, like right here, clamp with some of those little pinch clamps and clamp right here, tarp to this all the way around. But you need to close that off. You'll see some of the people that camp with them regularly, you'll actually put like foam insulation from Home Depot, that pink stuff, cut them and they lean them right against there. But you need to close that off, because what you're going to do then is protect that from the wind. But you'll also then maybe even possibly put a heater under there, a ceramic plug-in heater. Little one, doesn't need to be big, or a little propane heater, but you may want to have a heater under there to protect that stuff for you and keep it so that you keep your pipes from freezing and everything from being an issue. Again, I'll have some links down below for you, and I'll have a picture inset in here for you that shows you that skirting stuff, but it will make a great difference for you, and that will be huge as far as you being able to keep your water working and not risk blowing your pipe. Now, another thing you want to check all the time is going to be your tire pressure on here. In colder weather, your tires are going to be much lower than they normally are. What do we at here? I can't even see on there. We're still running 65 is what it's saying on there. I will still double check those. I don't trust those 100%, so I will check those. But you want to check your tire pressure in colder weather. That colder air temps, your tire pressure is going to go down. You want to make sure your tire pressure is good. If not, you'll be blowing tires. So that's something that you have to check. Now, when it comes to your heating, okay, you have propane tanks on the front, they're good, and they will get you for you'll go quite a while with 2 propane tanks. They'll last you, we've never ran out in up to a week-long trip with 2 propane tanks, so I don't know how long total they'll go. But keep in mind that your battery, your single battery here, yes, that will run your furnace, but it will run your furnace for about 3 hours. Okay, that's it. So keep that in mind. You see these guys out there, they're running 6, big capacity, deep cycle batteries, all these different things they're doing. That makes sense because that battery, if you were to take this and not be hooked up to a electrical system like at a campground or connected to a generator, if you think you're just going to pull this out in the woods and be able to run that battery and run your furnace in here, I promise you, you're not. It's going to be an awful cold night. Now you can use a Mr. Buddy heater inside, which I've done videos on. I'll probably put a link to it below, and I'll also show you one right here. But you can use those in there, and they make a big difference. We spent a lot of time running a indoor heater with one of those Mr. Buddy heaters, and they make it very comfortable and do a great job. But the generator is the key. Running a generator is a fantastic thing. We're usually up late at night, so we will run that generator the whole time we're up and doing stuff, and usually we go to bed about 2 a.m. or something like that, and when we go to bed, we'll turn that generator off. We will put the heat inside the camper down low, somewhere about 50 degrees, so that battery is still going to be able to maintain it, and then we will use that Mr. Buddy heater in there, and so that's just a backup for if that runs out of propane in the Mr. Buddy. So you have to fine-tune that and see, but don't think for a second that your one little battery is going to run that furnace. It won't even make it through a whole night, I promise you. You'll be cold before you wake up in the morning. So you better have a heat source or a plug-in or some way to, or a generator or something to be able to generate that heat, because your battery will not do it on there. Another good idea too, which you can see that we did not do, this is our first snow of the year here, but a good idea too is if you're camping in the winter, once you back in and you set up your rig, put a plastic bag and zip tie it over top of all this. That way when you're ready to leave, you're not fighting and dealing with snow and frozen hookups and all that kind of stuff and everything being a pain in the butt. Put a plastic bag over that will help make life a lot easier, even over top of your jack if you want to on there, to make life simpler, because like I said, that stuff starts freezing, it gets to be a nightmare. Same with your steps. If you have the pull-out steps, that's one thing. I don't. We have these drop-down steps, which I absolutely love. These steps are amazing. Okay, they're right here. They fold right up inside, nice and neat. I turn this lever, the steps come out, and they're just so rock solid and sturdy. Hang on, I got to open it. I'm doing this all one-handed here. There we go. But these steps are amazing. We love these steps. They're just so solid, so stable. They're incredible. But with that being said there, if you're using these, you also want to make sure you have salt with you, okay? Some actual rock salt or something like that, or even household salt, but keep salt inside there, because if you leave this out during the day, the sun hits these, and that sun is going to heat these steps up, and then they're going to sink into that snow and create a puddle there from the heat, and then at night they're going to freeze. So when you go to leave, they may be frozen in the ground. You might need to put a little bit of salt right there on the bottoms of them to get them out of their hole, and they'll create a good hole. As that sinks down, it's going to create a puck mark, and what'll happen in there then is that it's going to fill with water, and they might be under an inch of water, and they're frozen solid as ice cubes, and you need to be able to thaw them out of there. It's a lot better than chipping at them with a screwdriver and fighting it. Don't ask me how I know that. So it's these little things like that you got to pay attention to, just to make sure, again, that your camping experience in the winter is a good thing. Another thing that's nice to do, let me climb up in here, is I'm going to take my boots off, or my wife is going to, she'll throw a total fit here if I go wandering around in here with snow. All right, and but now another thing too, your water system. See, now our water pump is under here. I'm not taking it apart right now. It's 2 screws. I'm not opening it to take it out to show you, but I will put a link right here. You're going to see an inset. But put a T-valve in there, and then carry with you RV antifreeze. I keep 2 on the inside here, and then I also have 4 more jugs in the bay below. But that way, if temperatures get too cold and you're not set up to run this and you're worried about your water system, I can actually winterize this thing in about 4 minutes. I can actually, and I can do it usually with about a gallon, maybe even a gallon and a quarter of another jug, but I can winterize this whole entire water system that's in here and protect that. So if it's really bad, having those there and handy is definitely a good thing. Mouse traps, you can see we got some mouse traps in here. Mouse traps are good to have because of the fact that you can see them, and luckily, fortunately, We don't have any mice in here right now, so that's good. But mouse traps are important because, yeah, see, nothing's hit any of them. But they will find their ways in here. There's no two cents about it. They will find a way in your camper. There are so many little odds and ends and holes and ways for them to get in here. They are going to figure that out. So having some traps in here will save you a lot of, tore up furniture where they're going to get under there and start pulling out fittings and things like that. Usually this is where we have issues with them, is in here. And so far, not too bad. So, but you got to watch that because they will be an issue for you. So have some traps, get them out there, get them there ahead of time so you're good and ready to go and protected. Awnings are another one. Your awning on here. Right now, my awning's rolled up, so I would feel okay running that out. But I would recommend it. If you're going to use an awning in the winter, before you put that awning back in, you make sure that it's completely dry before you roll that up. If you roll it up with water in there and it freezes, it's going to stick to itself. That water is going to cause some issues in there, and you may very well rip your awning up. So you don't want to mess with that. You want to be careful. Again, winter camping is so much more complicated when you start bringing this stuff into play. You got to take this into consideration on all levels here. Your water lines are another one. I'm not hooked up yet. That's my black water flush fill there, but and then your water setup here. Now they make, and again, I'll put a picture of it and I'll have some links below, but they actually make water hoses that are actually, they plug in as well too, and they're actually heated water lines. So they'll keep that water from freezing up till here. From here inside, they could still freeze. It gets a little complicated, but you definitely, if you're going to be camping in the winter, get that heated water line, or you are going to need to run pipe insulators all the way along that hose, because that hose that's going to be out here is going to freeze solid, and you're going to lose water there too. So you could leave water trickle at night if you're at a campground if you want to, which will help on the very, very cold nights, but that heated water line is definitely a way to go. Again, I don't have one because we use ours 99% of the wintertime. Ours is down in Georgia and Florida and stuff like that, where South Carolina, where we're not worried about it. So, but that's something that you're going to need to consider. Now, something else that many people overlook is going to be your tanks in here too. This stuff is going to freeze. Now, you're going to be fine at the RV park and that kind of stuff, but when you get this thing home, we made a mistake last year using it in the wintertime, and then coming back home, and then it sits. Well, then when we opened up in the spring, we had horrible smells in there, and that was because in our Blackwater sewage tank, a lot of that stuff was frozen inside of there, and it stayed frozen all winter, and then as it's thawed out in the spring, which we thought we dumped that, and it was empty, it wasn't dumped and empty. That stuff was still frozen inside of there, so we had to do the Blackwater flush on there hardcore. We had to really clean that out. We did a Calgon treatment in there and stuff like that too. So these are things you got to consider, is that you gotta, there's, again, things freeze. So there's a lot more involved and a lot more maintenance and a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration. With that maintenance and things like that too, consider that if you are driving this on the roads in the wintertime, you are driving this camper in salt. They are not designed for salt, okay? They're not like a snowmobile trailer. They're not meant to be into salt. So with that said, you are going to have, look at how rusted out a lot of my stabilizers are. You can't see the bolts in there right now, but you can see the paint. Look at how rusted that is. That is due to salt from them making the trips from northern Michigan all the way down south on salty roads. You notice there's a film on them. That film that you're seeing is actually WD-40. I've done videos on that. I keep this stuff coated as best I can, and I still fight that corrosion on there. But your whole underside of your whole thing, this framework, all of this stuff that you're seeing there, that is not designed for salt. You are going to have to make a point to literally drown this stuff with WD-40 or some kind of protectant before you leave, and when you get down there, and when you get back. The axles, all that stuff. You're going to want to coat and take care of all that stuff. It's kind of a mandatory deal. If you don't do it, they're going to rust out on you. It's going to be ugly. So, again, most of these campers this time of year, when the weather gets like this, these things are sitting in some, storage area and not moving again until the weather breaks. That's what they're typically designed for. If you're going to use them, understand they're going to take some abuse that needs to be maintained and taken care of. That underbody, the front frame, frame, all this kind of stuff, everything that's steel that is metal on there is going to have to be coated with WD-40 or some kind of sealer. I know a lot of people say, well, WD-40 is not a rust preventer, blah, blah, blah. They give me crap. Well, and that may be true, but I'm also almost 50 years old, and for the last 30 years, I have used WD-40 exclusively on all my cars, on all the metal in the frames of my cars, my campers, all my trailers, and it's always worked fantastic for me. I buy it by gallon jugs and put it in a spray bottle. Again, I'll have links down below for you. I've even done videos on it, but it works fantastic. But anything on there, your stabilizer jacks, your leaf springs, your axles, your wishbone connectors, all that kind of stuff, you can see them. See that rust on there? That's from winter salt stuff. Even though I coat those, you just can't fight it. You can't beat it sometimes. It's you're going to use a camper and travel with it in the winter on salt-covered roads. You're going to have to deal with some of this kind of stuff. It just is what it is. Now, last thing we want to talk about too is going to be your spare tire. Okay, a lot of people don't think about a spare tire. It sits there, they don't worry about it or mess with it or no big deal. That's true, but in the cold weather, that tire may be down a lot. I checked this earlier this year, and we were down 10 pounds of pressure in that tire already, just from the temperature fluctuations of all last winter and bouncing around. You go to put that on a spare if you need it, and you're down 10 pounds, you're going to blow that out pretty quick too as well. So make sure you're checking in the wintertime, check that spare tire. Make sure that the air is correct in that spare tire, and if you need it, it's actually ready to run and ready to run correctly. So these are things that you got to take into consideration. Your lines, all your hoses, look at how stiff that is already. I'm not unplugging it because we got it plugged in, but this is so solid stiff right now that trying to roll that up is a bigger adventure. Little tricks you can do the day you're getting ready to pack up before you start breaking everything down. Lay that line out in the sun so that the sun can hit it and it will soften that up and you'll be able to roll it better. Otherwise, that whole thing is just going to be stuffed into your compartment as a big jumbled mess because you can't roll it. Winter camping is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It is a little more complicated, and there are some things that you need to take into consideration. So that's my best advice for you there. So I'll have some links for you here for some of the stuff that you need and some ideas, but don't be afraid of it. Get out and enjoy it. You bought this as a tool. This is a tool for you to make memories and enjoy your life and get out and have a great time. And winter is a perfect time of the year to do that. And there's no reason not to use it. Just understand that there is some precautions and some things that you need to take into consideration. But definitely that skirting underneath, supplemental heating, these kind of things are important. You're going to have to take that, you're going to have to take that very seriously when you use these and have that stuff ready. Know how to, prep that water lines if it gets too bad so that you don't blow them. Blowing a water line is a nightmare, and repairing that is going to be a nightmare. Not horrible, but it's a pain in the butt to trace them and fix them and mess with them. But if the simple things, like I said, having a couple jugs of winter RV antifreeze, to be able to, when you get a night that's going to be 10 below, going, you know what, tonight we're winterizing it. It takes 4 minutes to winterize this thing and get it done. And then you're set and you don't worry about nothing. So just, take these things into consideration and then know what to do, and then get out and enjoy your camper, have the time of your life, and, get out there and make those memories. That's what they're all about. Doesn't matter what camper you have. Doesn't matter if you paid $50,000 or you paid $25,000 or what, $100,000. It's all the same. Okay, you're going to have to deal with these things on all situations. So learn them, get that camper ready for winter, get out there and have a great time. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.